abandon Gavin Newsom. I know he's tall. I know his teeth are white. I know he's got nice hair. And I know you're probably not listening to my lefty podcast called The Bitchuation Room. But this is not your guy.
California Governor Gavin Newsom has a new podcast, just like every white male in the United States. And so far, he seems to be platforming far-right wingers. He's had Charlie Kirk on a show, and he's also had Steve Bannon on there. Francesca Fiorentini of the Bitchuation Room broke all this down. We're going to take a look at clips from Francesca's show, from the Gavin Newsom podcast. I've got my thoughts on this too. Let's check it out together.
Gavin Newsom has a podcast, and I didn't know if you know that part of governing, being the governor of the most populous state in the country, is having a podcast. Really, that's the job. Never mind that California is constantly on fire, and we have a massive housing crisis. No. You got to do a podcast. And specifically, you got to do a podcast with all of the ghouls you can muster. We broke down last week that Gavin Newsom had Charlie Kirk on his show and proceeded to just coddle the balls. Just just apply all the gold bond, Oh, let me get that for you. Does that feel better, sir? Does that feel dry? Truly gave him full reach around treatment, said his son fawned after him, thought he was great and brilliant. He was like, what is it, man? What do you got? Because Gavin Newsom is one of these spineless centrists that got the memo after Kamala Harris lost that we must move to the center because then the fascists will like us. And after they're finished being in office, which will be never, we get to be next. Okay? You see how that works? And so his second guess, and I was like, who? Because so my initial, I'm not even going to lie, my initial thought when I saw that he had Charlie Kirk on was like, he's going to have somebody from the left on just to like balance it out. It'll be someone he likes. It'll be like, or he ostensibly likes, like, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, it'll be someone who is on the left. Maybe it'll be Sarah McBride. Maybe it'll be a trans person. Who knows? It'll be somebody who like balances it out. No. He had Stephen Bannon on his show. That's right. And Yashar Ali published just the beginning of this on his Twitter. And I want to play a little bit of how the Gavin Newsom interview with the man who 2 weeks ago was throwing his heart out a la Elon style, just straight up hiling, okay? Casual hiling is what he was doing. A man known for his anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, real anti-Semite. A man who fawns and cozies up to all kinds of right-wing fascists the world over, specifically in Europe, Orban, Farage. A man who also worked with a company called Cambridge Analytica to hoover up all of our data in the 2016 election, psychograph us, remember that? Feed us information. I mean, it's really what the algorithm does now, but, it was done by a right-wing op. A man who is mad at Elon. And I love everyone talking about what's the rift between Bannon and Elon. It's just jealousy. It's just and this is what I think, and that's all I'm going to say on this. Bannon's populism is white nationalism. Okay, y'all? Bannon's economic populism is ethno-nationalism. Bannon's populism is about revoking rights for Black Americans, Brown Americans, women, yes, all good with instating a national language in English as a national language, with which Trump just did. All good with mass deportations. All good with deporting Palestinians and anyone who speaks out for Palestine. Like, he's all good with that. He just doesn't like the techies. Which let's be real, the techies are its own special evil. But like, Bannon gets no props for being a little bit different. Okay. No, Bannon's a fascist. Bannon's an authoritarian. He's super on board with everything. He just doesn't like Elon. So Here's Gavin. And let's remember, this is not a show that makes.
And before Francesca gets into the rest of this with Gavin Newsom, part of why Steve Bannon doesn't like the techies is that they want visas for foreign workers to come in and do work in the tech industry. And, there are certainly criticisms of that. Could Americans be doing those jobs? But Steve Bannon doesn't like the tech people because they aren't quite as anti-immigrant as what he is. The Trump administration is very anti-immigrant and Elon is very anti-immigrant, but they do want some immigrants to do the work that they want done in Silicon Valley. And Steve Bannon and some of these other far right wingers, they don't want any immigrants at all. No immigrants. So it's like this authoritarian regime is not quite authoritarian enough for Steve Bannon.
Makes Gavin Newsom, governor of California, look good. This is not a show where he's like, I'm going to express my ideas. I can't even do his voice because my voice is already hoarse. It's not a show where he gets to express his ideas. He gets to make his pitch to the American people. No. It's a place clearly at this point where he rolls out a little picnic blanket and, sets up a little tea party and has every neo-Nazi. Next week, he's going to have the dude who wore the Holocaust denial shirt on January 6th. He's going to invite him in. The following week, he's going to have that really skinny, weirdo-looking dude, the sort of like, emaciated Munsters guy who was at the Unite the Right rally chanting "Jews will not replace us." He's going to have him in there. That's basically Kanye, isn't it? Kanye's coming. I mean, Kanye and Nick Fuentes are just like, that's given. So this is the kind of stuff that he's talking about.
Well, Steve, thanks so much for taking the time to be here. And I want to take this opportunity to sort of, go back a little bit and talk about your history, a little bit about your motivations and where you see this country and, for that matter, the world going. But it's impossible not to note the world that we're living in relationship to everything happening with the markets, everything happening with the with tariffs, everything happening with CR and a potential government.
What kind of intro is this? I'm sorry, what kind of, hey man, we're going to talk about like how you see things and like, on the white race being on top of like, what is your view? And I'm so excited to like see your view, but also it's hard to not talk about like the things that are happening in Thingland, like the things happen and like, seniors are going to start not get social security checks and, infants are going to die because they don't have health care and people are going to go bankrupt and women are being criminalized, for seeking abortions and just like the things that are going on. The stock market is completely tanking because of these dumbass tariffs and, Donald Trump bought a Tesla yesterday and like the things in like the world and like stuff and like, or like things are like happening and it's just hard not to, anyway, what do you think about things? How is this your opening? How are you so softball that you're not even like willing to commit to the news? Like you're not even willing to commit to this unprecedented moment that we're in where multiple judges have ruled what Elon and Musk are doing to be unconstitutional and illegal. You just lifted yourself out of this. And watch how Bannon comes in hot. Bannon coming in hot. Because this dude is rolling over like a little bee. And Bannon's like, okay, let's go.
Everything happening with the markets, everything happening with the with tariffs, everything happening with CR and a potential government.
Don't be giving tariffs stink eye. I don't want to start off with you giving it stink eye already.
We'll stress.
I'm a tariff guy. I'm a tariff guy.
I appreciate that, and we'll see. We'll see. We'll stress test it.
The purpose.
We'll stress test it. What are we doing? What are you in some sort of like some startup meeting? Are you blue skying this? We'll stress test the tariffs. You know who's going to stress test it? Us, consumers, people, not rich people. Unless, of course, you're invested or you're trying to retire now. We'll stress test it. Okay, don't give me stink eye. Don't worry, I'm not. This is really as a softball.
I want to do this is I want to convert you to be a tariff guy also. This is part of the process to unwind you from being a globalist to make you a populist nationalist. It's a long journey. It's a long journey. It's a long journey, but I think you'll get there.
This is part of the deprogramming, is it?
So Steve Bannon comes in right away and calls Gavin Newsom a globalist. And, you know, that's code word for some things. I'm not going to quite get into that here, but that's code word. And again, like Francesca Fiorentini says, why would Gavin Newsom, of all the people that he could have on a show, have a disgusting figure like Steve Bannon on there? You know, if you want to do a thing where it's like you're going to really push back and show how bad these people are, how wrong their ideas are, how dangerous they are for the country and for the world, okay. But to be buddy-buddy with somebody like Steve Bannon, and he had Charlie Kirk on there on his first episode, it just makes no sense. And this is really falling into this Democrat idea that they've had for so long, that they somehow are going to reach some people on the right, and there are these suburban Republican moms who are going to vote for them, and they're going to win elections. You know, that's what they thought with Kamala Harris against Donald Trump. And instead of trying to appeal to their base, they were trying to appeal to these right-wingers. And it's just not going to work. So all Gavin Newsom does is allow Steve Bannon to come on a show and have a platform. Obviously, this is just sort of a taste of this that I played here. I wanted to give you an idea of what's going on with this. If you want to see this entire video on Francesca Fiorentini's channel, The Bitchuation Room, you can go there and check it out. I'm linking to it in the description. The whole thing is 22 minutes long. But let me know what you think about this. Gavin Newsom and other people on the ostensibly on the left having figures like Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk on their shows when they're not going to push back against them at all. Do you agree with what Francesca Fiorentini has to say, or what I say about this? Let me know in the comments what you think. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. This is Chris on Culture, and I will see you in the next video.